Sometimes the most powerful part of a story isn't just what it says, but how it's built. We're going to see how a poem's very structure can become its most haunting message, as we deconstruct Natasha Trethewey's incredible poem, Incident. So let's just jump right in with the big question here. How in the world can a few lines on a page make you actually feel a memory that just won't go away? That looping, inescapable feeling? The answer? Well, it's hidden right in the machinery of this poem.
And here it is. This is Incident. Just take a moment to look at it. At first glance, it might seem kind of simple, but believe me, the way it's put together, its architecture, is deeply complex. And that's the real key to its emotional power.
So what's the first thing that jumps out at you? For a lot of people, it's the way some of the lines seem to echo. And let me tell you, that is absolutely not an accident. It's our first big clue that this poem is doing something very, very intentional with repetition.
You see it, right? Lines like, "We peered from the windows, shades drawn," or "The cross trussed like a Christmas tree." They don't just show up once, they circle back, creating this really haunting pattern. But the real question is, why? Well, the answer is all in the form. This isn't just any old poem. Trethewey chose a very specific, and honestly, a pretty challenging structure to tell this story. It's called a Pantoum, and understanding this form, it's like finding the key to the poem's entire engine. Okay, so what on earth is a Pantoum? Basically, it's a poetic form that's built on recycling. You take lines from one stanza and weave them into the next one in a very specific interlocking way. Think of it like a chain, where every single link is forged from the one that came right before it. Let's trace how this poetic engine really works. You take the second and fourth lines of the first stanza, and then, boom, they get picked up and become the first and third lines of the next one. And this pattern just keeps going, weaving the poem together and forcing it to constantly look back at itself. And get this wasn't just some fancy stylistic choice. Trethewey herself explained why she used it. The Pantoum, she said, freed her from telling a simple, straight A to B story. It allowed the poem to do what memory itself does, to circle back, again and again.
Okay, so now we get the how, but this is where we get to the really important part, the why. This is where the technical form completely transforms into raw emotional impact. It's not just a clever poetry game, it's the perfect vehicle for a poem about trauma.
So here's the crucial point, right here. The experience of reading the poem, of running into the same lines over and over in a new context, it mirrors the actual experience of a traumatic memory. It's intrusive, it's cyclical, and you just can't escape it. The form is the feeling.
And just watch how the meaning twists with each repetition. In the first stanza, we read, "The charred grass, now green again." That sounds hopeful, right? Like healing. But when the line comes back, the word changes to "still green." That one tiny shift changes everything. It's no longer about recovery, it's about a sinister illusion, a surface that's just covering up the horror underneath, but never, ever erasing it.
Now that we've got a handle on the structure, let's look at the chilling words Trethewey actually places inside of it. She creates this incredible feeling of dread through these really grotesque contrasts and a particularly powerful use of understatement.
The poem's first simile is absolutely jarring. A burning cross is trussed like a Christmas tree. I mean, just think about that. It takes an image of family, light, and celebration and twists it into an instrument of pure racial terror. The contrast is nauseating, and it is absolutely meant to be. And she does it again. The Klansmen are described as white as angels in their gowns. It's that same move, taking an image of divine purity and perverting it to describe a scene of pure hate. This isn't just a description, it's a powerful commentary on how symbols of goodness can be used to mask something profoundly evil. But maybe the most haunting line of all is the one that repeats with this chilling insistence, "Nothing really happened." So how are we supposed to make sense of this denial, right in the face of such obvious terror?
To understand it, we need a literary tool called Litotes. It sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. It's a form of ironic understatement where you say the opposite of what you really mean to emphasize your point. It's like saying, "It's not bad," when what you actually mean is it's fantastic.
So when the poem keeps repeating "nothing really happened," it's not actually trying to say the event was insignificant. No way. It's doing the exact opposite. Through that understatement, it's basically screaming that something enormous and devastating did happen, an event so heavy that the mind tries and fails to minimize it. Now, to fully grasp the poem's significance, we really have to zoom out a little bit.
Incident doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's a crucial piece of a much larger artistic project.
This poem comes from Trethewey's Pulitzer Prize-winning collection, Native Guard. And this book, wow, it is an absolute masterclass in weaving together deeply personal grief with the long shadows of American history.
And Native Guard has this powerful dual purpose. On one hand, it's a public memorial. It's giving voice to the forgotten Louisiana Native Guards, one of the first black regiments in the Union Army. And on the other, it's a deeply private elegy for Trethewey's mother, who was tragically murdered.
The whole collection makes this profound argument. It shows us that poetry isn't just for expressing feelings. It's a vital tool for bearing witness. It's for preserving the memories that history tries to erase, and for correcting a record that has, for too long, been written by only one side.
And that brings us right back to Incident. The poem's circular form isn't just a container for the story. It is the argument. It insists that some traumas, both personal and historical, they don't just end. They loop. They repeat. They have to be told and retold because the past is never really over.
And so, the poem leaves us with a question that we really have to ask ourselves. What are the stories that we repeat in our own lives and as a society? And what truths might be hiding inside that repetition?